Right now, at this very moment, a monster winter storm is barreling toward the southern United States with the power to deliver snowfall totals we have not seen in more than 30 years. We are talking about potential snow accumulations of 18 to 24 inches in places that rarely see more than a dusting. But here is what nobody is talking about. The thing that could make this storm even more dangerous than the snow itself. Ice. Freezing rain. Power outages that could leave millions in the dark during some of the coldest temperatures in decades. And here is the question that should be keeping emergency managers awake tonight. Where exactly will that critical line form between heavy snow and catastrophic ice accumulation? Because a shift of just 50 miles could mean the difference between a winter wonderland and a state of emergency. Stay with me, because in the next 30 seconds, I am going to show you the 3 zones of impact that will determine whether your community faces snow, ice, or something far worse. And if you live anywhere from Texas to Virginia, what I am about to reveal could literally save your life. Winter storm watches are already posted across a massive area. We are talking Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, and extending into northern Louisiana. This is not typical. This is not normal. And the National Weather Service does not issue watches this far in advance unless they see something truly significant developing. But here is your first reward for watching. The models are now showing a 70 to 80% chance of more than 6 inches of snow along a corridor from Oklahoma through Arkansas and into Tennessee and Kentucky. Some of you are going to see numbers that will make headlines for years to come. Let me paint you a picture of what is happening in the atmosphere right now. Arctic air, the kind that normally stays locked up in Canada, is diving south like a frozen freight train. This is not just cold air. This is the kind of cold that changes everything it touches. We are looking at temperatures in the single digits, even below zero in some locations. And this Arctic Express is not stopping at the usual places. It is pushing all the way down into Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Now, here is where it gets interesting. And this is something you need to understand to grasp just how serious this setup really is. On the northern edge of this Arctic boundary, temperatures will be cold enough for all snow. Pure, fluffy, accumulating snow. But to the south, we have got a completely different beast forming. The ensemble guidance, which takes more than 50 different model runs and blends them together to give us the most likely outcome, is showing a growing probability of 6 inches or more of snow across Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. When I say growing, I mean that 24 hours ago, some of these areas were showing much lower probabilities. Now, the models are converging on a solution that should grab your attention. And when you look at the odds of seeing more than 12 inches of snow, the pattern becomes even clearer. We are seeing probabilities increase for significant snowfall across Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. Someone is going to get absolutely crushed by this storm. But wait, because it gets even more dramatic. The odds of seeing more than 18 inches of snow are now showing up on the maps. Let that sink in for a moment. 18 inches. In places like Arkansas and Tennessee, when was the last time that happened? For some of you, the answer is never in your lifetime. Here is the critical twist that makes this storm so dangerous, and this is information you will not hear anywhere else presented this clearly. The line between snow and freezing rain is going to be razor thin, and freezing rain, my friends, is the silent killer of winter storms. Let me explain why. When you get snow, even heavy snow, you can plow it, shovel it, manage it, but freezing rain? That is a different animal entirely. Freezing rain coats everything it touches with a layer of ice. Power lines snap under the weight. Tree branches crash down onto roads and homes. And here is the part that should concern you most. Just 1/4 inch of ice accumulation can cause widespread power outages. We are looking at potential ice accumulations of 1 to 2 inches in some areas. Think about that. 1 to 2 inches of solid ice coating every surface. That is enough weight to bring down major power infrastructure. And with temperatures forecast to stay below freezing for days after this storm passes, any power outages could last far longer than usual. Now, let me show you exactly where this is headed. And pay close attention, because this next section at minute 5 is where I am going to deliver on my promise to show you the 3 critical impact zones. Zone number 1, the heavy snow belt. This extends from eastern Oklahoma through Arkansas and into Tennessee and Kentucky. If you live in this zone, you need to prepare for the possibility of seeing some of the heaviest snow accumulations your area has experienced in decades. We are talking about snow totals that could exceed 12 to 18 inches, with some locations potentially seeing even more. The latest model data from this afternoon shows absolutely blockbuster snow totals. Oklahoma City could see more than a foot of snow. Little Rock is right on that critical line, but areas just to the north in Arkansas could see massive accumulations. Memphis is looking at the potential for heavy snow. Nashville, the models are printing significant snow totals there too. And here is something fascinating that the models are showing. Once you get into eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee, and especially the Cumberland Plateau region extending into the mountains of western Virginia, West Virginia, and western North Carolina, the snow potential goes through the roof. We are seeing model runs suggesting 18 inches or more in these elevated areas. Zone number 2, the ice zone. This is potentially the most dangerous area, and it extends across a huge swath of the southern United States. We are talking about an area from North Texas through southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, and extending into parts of Alabama and Georgia. In this zone, you are not going to see much snow, if any. Instead, you are going to see freezing rain, and not just a little freezing rain. The models are showing potential ice accumulations of 1 to 2 inches in southern Arkansas. Even if you only get half of that, even if you only see 1 inch of ice accumulation, you are going to have massive problems. Power outages will be widespread. Travel will become impossible. Not just difficult, but impossible. And here's the scary part. This ice could extend farther south than current forecasts suggest. We are seeing model runs that show the potential for freezing rain extending down into southern Mississippi and into central and southern Louisiana. Not quite down to New Orleans or the coast, but uncomfortably close. Houston, you need to pay attention to this. The freezing rain is forecast to approach the northern parts of your metropolitan area. As that cold air at the surface continues to push south, the risk of freezing rain increases. This is not something to take lightly. Zone number 3, the transition zone. This is where forecasting becomes incredibly difficult, and it is also where the highest bust potential exists. The transition zone is that narrow area where temperatures are going to be hovering right around the freezing mark, and small changes in the exact track of the storm or the depth of the cold air can make enormous differences in what you see. If you live along a line from Dallas-Fort Worth through northern Arkansas into Tennessee and extending into the North Carolina and Virginia border region, you are in this transition zone. You could see snow, you could see ice, you could see sleet, or you could see all three at different times during the storm. This is why confidence is still growing but not absolute. A shift in the storm track of just 50 miles could dramatically change the forecast for millions of people. If the cold air ends up a little deeper, you see more snow and less ice. If the cold air is a little shallower, you see less snow and more ice. Now, here is the plot twist that developed just this afternoon. And this is crucial new information. The models are starting to show a trend toward pushing some of the heaviest snow a bit farther north than previous runs suggested. What does this mean? It means areas that were on the southern edge of the heavy snow zone might now end up in the ice zone instead. And conversely, areas that were forecast to see mainly ice might now be looking at heavy snow. The European model from this afternoon is absolutely jaw-dropping. It is showing 18 inches of snow across central Tennessee and into Kentucky. 18 inches. And further north, some areas could see totals approaching 24 inches. These are historic snow totals for this region. But here is where you need to understand the limitations. These are operational model runs, which means they represent just one possible solution. The blended model data, which combines multiple models, is showing slightly lower totals but still impressive numbers. We are seeing widespread areas with the potential for 12+ inches of snow. And now, the moment I promised you, the absolutely critical information you need to know about timing. This storm is going to unfold in stages, and understanding the timing could be the difference between being prepared and being caught off guard. Stage 1 begins Thursday into Friday. This is when the Arctic air really starts to dive south. We are going to see temperatures plummet across the central United States. The northern plains will see temperatures drop below zero. Montana, the Dakotas, even into Wyoming and Colorado, brutally cold air will be in place. But this is just the setup. This is the cold air that needs to be in place for what comes next. Stage 2 kicks in Friday night into Saturday. This is when moisture from the southwest starts to interact with that Arctic air mass. Initially, we will see some light snow developing across parts of the Rockies and the high plains. But the real show is about to begin farther east. Saturday into Saturday night. This is when things get serious. The moisture really starts to ramp up, and now we have got significant dynamics combining with that Arctic air. Snow will break out across Oklahoma, Arkansas, and points east. To the south, freezing rain will begin to develop. And here is the critical point. Once the freezing rain starts, it is going to continue for hours. We are not talking about a quick ice event. This could be prolonged freezing rain lasting 12 hours or more in some locations. That is how you get catastrophic ice accumulations. Sunday is when this storm reaches peak intensity. The heavy snow band will be in full force across the Mid-South and extending into the Appalachians. Snowfall rates could exceed 1 to 2 inches per hour in the heaviest bands. At the same time, the freezing rain will continue across the southern zones, adding more and more ice to already heavily coated surfaces. A coastal low will also begin to form off the East Coast, and this is where things could get interesting for areas from Virginia through Maryland, Delaware, and possibly into southern New Jersey. The models are showing the potential for this coastal system to bring heavy snow to these areas as well. We could see more than a foot of snow from Richmond out to the Chesapeake Bay and toward Delaware. Even areas around New York City are showing about a 50-50 chance of seeing more than 6 inches of snow. This is still uncertain, but the trend has been toward increasing snow potential in the Northeast. By Monday, the storm will be moving off the coast, but the impacts will be far from over. Cold air will remain locked in place across much of the affected area. This means any snow that falls is going to stick around for a while. It is not going to melt quickly. Now, let me address something that I know some of you are wondering. How can we have freezing rain when temperatures are in the teens and 20s at the surface? This is a great question, and understanding the answer is crucial to understanding why this storm is so dangerous. Here is what happens. Several thousand feet up in the atmosphere, temperatures are going to be above freezing. In fact, they could be in the 30s or even low 40s in that layer. So precipitation starts falling as snow from way up high. But then it passes through this above freezing layer and melts into raindrops. Then, these raindrops continue falling and enter a below freezing layer near the surface, where temperatures are in the single digits, teens, or 20s. The raindrops do not have time to refreeze into sleet. Instead, they stay liquid until they hit a surface, and then they instantly freeze into a coating of ice. This is why we can have devastating ice storms even when surface temperatures are well below freezing. It is all about that layering in the atmosphere. And here is another critical twist. The models are not very good at forecasting exactly where the line between snow, sleet, and freezing rain will set up. This is why I keep talking about high bust potential. The models might show heavy snow for your area, but if that line shifts by even 30 to 50 miles, you could end up with mainly ice instead. Let me show you the temperature pattern behind this storm, because this is important for understanding the full scope of what we are dealing with. After the storm passes, we are not going to see a quick warm-up. The cold air is going to stick around. By Tuesday morning, some areas could see temperatures below zero, and these are air temperatures, not wind chill. With a fresh snowpack on the ground reflecting sunlight and radiating heat away, temperatures could drop even lower than currently forecast. High temperatures in the days following the storm will struggle to get out of the 20s and 30s across much of the affected area. Some locations might not even make it out of the teens. This is significant because if there are widespread power outages from ice, people are going to be dealing with these brutally cold temperatures without heat. Further south, across Texas and the Deep South, temperatures will start to moderate by Tuesday and Wednesday. We will get back above freezing, which will help with melting. But during the storm itself and for several days after, it is going to stay very cold across a huge portion of the country. Now, here is the game-changing information I promised you at the beginning. The models are in remarkable agreement about one thing. This is going to be a significant, high-impact winter storm. The disagreement is in the details. Exactly where does the heaviest snow fall? Exactly where does the worst ice accumulate? These are the questions that will be refined over the next 48 hours as we get closer to the event. But here is what we know with high confidence right now. If you live anywhere from Texas through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and extending into the Carolinas and Virginia, you need to be preparing now. Not tomorrow, not Friday. Now. What should you do? First, make sure you have supplies. Food, water, medications, anything you might need to get through several days without being able to leave your home. If you rely on electricity for heat, consider alternative heating sources, but please be safe. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people during winter storms every single year. Second, charge your devices. Make sure your phone, laptop, any battery packs you have are fully charged before the storm arrives. If the power goes out, these could be your lifeline to the outside world. Third, bring in anything that could be damaged by ice or snow. Outdoor furniture, decorations, anything that could become a projectile in high winds or get buried under heavy snow or ice. Fourth, if you have to travel, do it before the storm arrives. Once this thing gets going, travel is going to become extremely dangerous, if not impossible. Do not be the person who tries to drive through a blizzard or on ice-covered roads. Here is something else you need to know. The snow ratios in this storm could be extremely high in some areas. What does that mean? Snow ratio is the relationship between liquid equivalent precipitation and snow depth. A typical snow ratio is 10:1, meaning 1 inch of liquid precipitation produces 10 inches of snow. But when you have Arctic air in place, with temperatures near or below zero, snow ratios can jump to 15:1, 18:1, or even 20:1. This means relatively modest amounts of liquid precipitation can produce massive snow totals. If temperatures are around zero and you get an inch of liquid equivalent precipitation with an 18:1 ratio, you are looking at 18 inches of snow. This is why the models are showing such impressive snow totals. The combination of adequate moisture and extremely cold air creates the perfect environment for explosive snow growth. Now, I want to address the Northeast for a moment because this storm is not done after it crosses the Mid-South. The trend in the models has been toward increasing impacts in the Northeast. We are seeing growing confidence in significant snow from Virginia through Maryland and Delaware. Areas along the Delmarva Peninsula and Cape May region are showing a 70 to 80% chance of seeing more than 6 inches of snow. The big question mark is still how far north this goes. New York City is right on that edge. Some models bring significant snow into the city. Others keep the heaviest snow to the south. This is going to come down to the exact track of that coastal low that develops. Boston and points north in New England are seeing lower probabilities for heavy snow right now, but even that could change if the storm track shifts. This is why you need to keep checking back for updates. The forecast is going to evolve as we get closer to the event. Here is the harsh reality that nobody wants to talk about, but everyone needs to hear. Power outages from this storm could be prolonged. We are not talking about a few hours. We could be talking about days or even weeks in some of the hardest hit areas. When ice accumulations reach the levels that some models are forecasting, the damage to power infrastructure can be catastrophic. Power companies will work around the clock to restore service, but when you have ice coating every line, every tree branch, and crews cannot even safely access affected areas because of road conditions, restoration takes time. If you are in a rural area, you need to be especially prepared. Rural areas are often the last to get power restored after major winter storms. Make sure you have a plan. And please, please, please do not use generators indoors or in attached garages. Carbon monoxide poisoning is invisible, odorless, and deadly. Every winter storm, we hear tragic stories of families who died from carbon monoxide poisoning while trying to stay warm. Now, let me give you the absolute latest model trends, because things have been evolving even in just the last few hours. The newest runs are showing a slight shift northward in the snow shield. This is actually consistent with what we often see as storms get closer. The models tend to wobble back and forth before settling on a final solution. What this means practically is that if you were on the northern edge of the forecast snow zone, your odds of seeing significant snow have increased slightly. If you were on the southern edge, you might now be looking at more of a mix or ice instead of snow. The ensemble guidance, which again combines many different model runs, is still pointing toward the highest snow potential in a corridor from eastern Oklahoma through Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and extending into the Appalachian Mountain regions of Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina. Ice potential remains highest from North Texas through southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, and northern Alabama. This is where we could see truly destructive ice accumulations. Here is what is going to happen over the next couple of days. We are going to see winter storm warnings start to get issued. Right now, we have watches, which means conditions are possible. When the warnings get issued, that means conditions are expected. The National Weather Service will start issuing warnings probably within the next 24 to 36 hours for the areas with highest confidence. As confidence grows in the exact track and intensity of the storm, the forecast will get more precise. We will know with greater certainty who is going to see the heaviest snow, who is going to see the worst ice, and where that critical transition zone will set up. But here is the key thing to remember. Even if the forecast changes, even if the exact details shift, this is still going to be a significant, high-impact winter storm. The uncertainty is in the details, not in whether this storm is going to happen. Some of you watching this are going to see snow totals that you have not experienced in your lifetime. Some of you are going to see ice accumulations that will cause damage that takes months to fully repair. And some of you are going to see a mix that, while not as dramatic as either extreme, will still create major problems. This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. This is a straightforward assessment based on what the models are showing and what the atmospheric setup indicates. When you see this kind of pattern, with Arctic air colliding with Gulf moisture, significant winter weather is going to result. The only question is the exact distribution of impacts. And here is your final call to action. Comment below with your location. Tell me where you are watching from. I want to make sure you are getting the specific forecast information you need for your area. The impacts are going to be highly localized, and knowing exactly where you are located helps provide more targeted guidance. Are you in Oklahoma City, bracing for potentially historic snow? Are you in Little Rock, right on that critical line between snow and ice? Are you in Houston, watching nervously as freezing rain potential creeps closer? Are you in Nashville, preparing for a major snow event? Let me know in the comments, and let us build a community of people tracking this storm together. Over the next 48 to 72 hours, the forecast will come into sharper focus. We will know with greater precision where the heaviest impacts will occur. But the time to prepare is now, not when the snow and ice start falling. Make your preparations today. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors, who might need help preparing. Make sure your car has a full tank of gas. Stock up on any essentials you might need. And most importantly, take this seriously. But do not panic. Preparation, not panic, is what gets you through winter storms safely. Remember, this storm is not going to sneak up on anyone. We have days of advance notice. Use that time wisely. And keep checking back for updates. Because as the models continue to run and as we get closer to the event, the forecast will continue to evolve and improve. The bottom line is this. A major high-impact winter storm is headed for the southern and eastern United States this weekend into early next week. Snow totals could exceed 12 to 18 inches in some areas. Ice accumulations could reach catastrophic levels in other areas, and millions of people are going to be impacted in some way. This is your moment to prepare. This is your opportunity to make sure you and your family are ready. Do not wait until the last minute. Take action now, and you will be glad you did when this storm arrives. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next update with even more detailed information as this forecast continues to develop.